So today we are going to discuss mastering Snowflake. So today we will start with the Snowflake introduction. Yeah, let's start. In this session, we are going to discuss Snowflake. What is Snowflake? And we are going to discuss cloud architecture of Snowflake. Okay. So first, let's understand what is a Snowflake. Snowflake is a cloud-based data warehousing platform. It is a cloud-based data warehousing platform. What is the advantage of a cloud-based data warehousing platform? First advantage is scalable data storage. Scalable data storage. It means you can store your data, any size of data, based on your data size, it grows. So there is no limitation. Because of cloud-based, you can scale your data with any size. Next one, processing, scalable processing. Means you are getting small data, you can use small resources to process the data. If you are getting requested to process some medium-sized data, you can use some more resources to process the data. If you are getting requested to process huge volumes of data, you can use more resources to process the data. Means you can scale your resources based on the required data. You can scale or you can increase the resources to process your data. That is the main advantage of cloud-based data warehousing. And mainly, this Snowflake separates storage and separates computer resources too. It separates storage, it separates compute resources. Let me diagrammatically explain so that it clarifies your doubts. First, let me open Paint. Let's say we are using a Snowflake. So Snowflake supports three clouds. It supports three clouds. It supports AWS. It supports Azure. It supports GCP. It supports three different clouds. While creating Snowflake account, you can choose cloud type. Let's say this is my Snowflake. While creating account, backend cloud, you can choose AWS or you can choose Azure. Or you can choose GCP. You can choose GCP. Backend cloud, you can choose any one of the cloud while creating account. Let me clarify. Let's say you are using one browser, you are using Snowflake URL. So here you are using Snowflake URL. So you are using Snowflake URL for creating Snowflake account. So while creating Snowflake account, we can choose cloud. cloud. So it supports AWS, it supports Azure, it supports JCP. While creating Snowflake account, you can choose cloud team. So they give nice user interface to uh, create a account. While creating account, Snowflake account, we can choose a backend cloud team. And what is the advantage of different clouds is cloud to cloud charges are different. Let's say AWS, it uses two main services team. One is S3, another one is EC2. Azure, it uses two important services team. One is Azure Blob and Azure VM. GCP, it uses Google Cloud Storage and Google Cloud Engine team. Okay. So based on this, charges are different. Performance wise, there is no difference because for every client request handled by Snowflake, executed by Snowflake. So these AWS, Azure, GCP provides storage and runtime environments. Okay. Performance wise, we cannot see any difference. Only difference we can see is pricing thing. Okay. So first one, while creating Snowflake account, we can choose right cloud. First point. Second point, I said Snowflake, Snowflake separates storage and compute resources too. So here, let me explain. So here, mainly it uses storage separately and processing separately. Storage separately and processing separately. Okay, let me take storage and processing for Azure and for GCP. Okay, so it uses storage separately, processing separately, storage separate service, processing purpose separate service, storage purpose separate service, processing purpose separate service. Storage purpose it uses, storage purpose it uses S3, AWS S3. Storage purpose it uses AWS S3 service. Okay. Processing purpose it uses AWS EC2. Processing purpose it uses AWS EC2. EC2. Similar way for uh, Azure, storage purpose it uses blob, Azure blob. Processing purpose it uses Azure VM, Azure VM service team. Coming to coming to Google Cloud, storage purpose it uses Google Cloud Storage, and processing purpose it uses Google Cloud Engine, Google Cloud Engine team. Okay, so these are different services uses. Let's say I created my account. I created my account in this way. Snowflake account in this way. If I create a Snowflake account, backend cloud is AWS. For all my tables, schema, views, procedures, where those are going to create under AWS S3. When I send SQL query like select star from XYZ, select with some filter conditions, then it is going to allocate EC2 missions team. It is going to allocate EC2 missions for processing. Processing in Snowflake terminology, we call it as virtual warehouse team. In Snowflake processing, they use terminology called virtual warehouse. So, so here, virtual warehouse team depends upon our requirement. We can create multiple virtual warehouses with a different sizes. Let's say one virtual warehouse with 2 missions, another virtual warehouse with 4 missions, another virtual warehouse with 16 missions. We can create multiple warehouses. Whenever you utilize that virtual warehouse, then only Snowflake people will charge. Let's say I created virtual warehouse with 2, 4, 8 resources. For small data, I am using 2 missions virtual warehouse. For medium data, I am using 4 missions virtual warehouse. For large data, I am using 8 missions virtual warehouse. So like that, you can create multiple virtual warehouses too. Any questions up to now? Is it clear? Snowflake uses two important components in Snowflake is storage and processing too. So backend Snowflake supports three clouds, three clouds, three clouds. When I create account in Snowflake, if I choose Azure, storage purpose it uses a blob, processing purpose it uses virtual machines. So this storage automatically scales based on your data storage. Based on your data storage, it automatically scales. And they are going to charge only how much storage you used. Coming classes, we are going to discuss what are storage pricing, what are processing pricing in Snowflake. If I use AWS, what are storage pricing, what are processing pricing? If I use Azure as my backend, what are storage pricing, what are processing pricing? If I use GCP, what are storage pricing, what are processing pricing? Vendor to vendor, cloud to cloud vendor, the storage cost and processing cost is different. That is one more factor. People may choose as different cloud setting. For Snowflake backend, people may use as different clouds, sometimes based on this pricing factor also. Some people like like me, I'm using my all projects in AWS cloud. Then I like my I like AWS cloud. Snowflake also I can choose AWS cloud. Someone similar to me, someone is liking Azure, they can choose Azure cloud. Some other people like in GCP, they can choose two factor step. One factor is pricing factor and other factor is they are using different other products in same cloud so that they can choose same cloud for Snowflake team. But performance wise, you cannot see any difference with vendor to vendor because storage in processing will taken care by Snowflake. Okay. Any questions up to now? Any questions? No.
Sir, is it necessary to use any cloud for Snowflake? Uh,
Snowflake is a, yeah, let me cover that point. Snowflake is we are calling cloud data warehouse. It does not have separate cloud. It is using other cloud vendors. Currently, it is supporting three clouds.
Yeah, okay.
Clear, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Now let's continue to. Yeah. Now let's understand very important point. How do how do we work? How do we work in Snowflake? Let me diagrammatically explain it so that you will get a clear understanding. How do we work in Snowflake? Let me diagrammatically explain it. Let's say we have different data sources. Let's say we have different data sources. And we have Snowflake data warehouse. Snowflake data warehouse. Okay. And different downstreams are data consumers which are consuming our Snowflake. First one, data sources. Data sources. And this one, Snowflake data warehouse or Snowflake. And then consumers. So here, let's say this one is raw layer. Raw layer and transform layer. The first one is raw layer. And this one is transformer layer. And here we write ETL jobs. Then first one is ingesting data from sources to Snowflake. So first let's understand we have different data sources. We have different data sources like files. Files like CSV, CSV, JSON, CSV, JSON, XML, Parquet, Parquet. It supports ORC and different formats. It supports different formats. And then you may have data in RDBMS like MySQL, and many other databases. You may have data in NoSQL databases like Cassandra. Cassandra, and you may have data like cloud file systems, cloud file systems like like uh, AWS S3, Azure Blog, Azure Blog, etc. You may have data in cloud data warehouse, cloud data warehouse like like SAP, HANA, and etc. So you may have data in different data sources too. Using 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 different approaches. Using different approaches. Using using different techniques. Different techniques of Snowflake. Using different techniques of Snowflake, we can ingest data. We can ingest data data into Snowflake in raw layer. So we can ingest this data into a raw layer too. Using different techniques of Snowflake, so we can load this data into raw layer. Raw layer. We have copy command. We have stages concept. We have snowflake concept. If data is streaming, we have snowflake concept. And Snowflake also provides different connectors to connect to different sources, and we can load data into Snowflake data warehouse environment. On top of that, we can create tables, we can create schemas, we can create views, we can write procedures, and we can write different transformation logics in Snowflake team. We can use Snowflake technique, different Snowflake techniques to ingest from data from different sources to Snowflake raw layer. Once data into raw layer, we can write different SQL statements on raw layer. We can perform transformations, and we can load the transformed data from this location, from raw layer to transformer layer. We can apply different Snowflake SQL queries. We can apply different Snowflake SQL queries, and we can store transform data, and we can store that transformer data into transformer layer. And this transformer layer become input to these data consumers too. Data consumers going to use this transformer data like let's say we have different consumers like data analytics, or we can say BI people. So they may use technologies like Power BI, Power BI. They may use technologies like Tableau, many other tools for preparing dashboards or reports too. And other peoples like machine learning people too. Machine learning people. Other people like artificial intelligence people. What these people do is they read this data, they are going to predict future. Let's say this is my history data presented in Snowflake. On that history data, they want to take future predictions using either ML algorithms or AI algorithms. Or if it is sales data, they may use Power BI or Tableau. They can prepare reports or dashboards. So data consumers may be anyone. They uses our transformer data. So we apply different ETL jobs using different Snowflake techniques. We convert raw data into transformer data. Raw data we are getting from different sources. To ingest the data from different sources to Snowflake, we have different techniques in Snowflake. We have copy, load, snowpipe, stages concept, and multiple different concepts to ingest data from different sources to Snowflake data warehouse environment. This is one way. Other way, there is a separate role called data ingestion team. There is a separate role called data ingestion. So these people, what they are going to do, they are going to load data into data lake environment. These people, they are going to load data into data lake environment. Let's say data ingestion, separate job called data ingestion. These data ingestion people, these data ingestion people connects to these sources, connects to these sources. If required any business logic, they write inside this data ingestion applications and they load data into data lake environment. This data lake may be, this data lake may be maybe AWS S3 or Azure Blob or GCP, GCP storage, GCP storage, any one of this cloud. And again from this, as a Snowflake developer, we connect to the sources and we connect to the sources, then we load the data. Again, we apply this techniques too. Again, we apply different Snowflake techniques to load this data lake data into raw layer. So these are two different approaches. We use ingesting data. Snowflake itself contain different techniques, different techniques to connect to sources, to ingest data from different sources to Snowflake raw layer. Raw layer means it's uh, data without any transformations, raw data. On that raw data, we write a different Snowflake SQL jobs. We can transform this data into actionable data. Then we load the data into transformer layer. And then this data is consumed by consumers like data analytics people, machine learning people, artificial intelligence people. Other way of ingesting is data ingestion techniques. These people may uses these people may uses different technologies like Python, PySpark, PySpark, AWS Glue, AWS Glue, and different other techniques too. Different other techniques. They may use different other techniques for ingesting data too. So clear writing. If any business logic we require, we go with this kind of programming languages or different frameworks. We connect different sources and we load the data into data lake environment. And from data lake, we use a Snowflake technique and we load the data into raw layer. And then we write ETL jobs. So in this way, we are going to work as a Snowflake developer. And finally, for our consumers, we may expose data in form of views. Instead of giving complete table access, we may create views and we expose views to consumers. Okay. Any questions here, team? Is it clear? Yes, sir. So any questions, team? Is it clear? No questions? Yeah. Let me discuss it. So as part of mastering Snowflake, as part of mastering Snowflake, so first we are going to important topic we are going to start is Snowflake fundamentals. Snowflake fundamentals. As part of Snowflake fundamentals, we are going to see how to create Snowflake account, how to sign in Snowflake account. We are going to discuss complete web user interface, and then we are going to see how to connect Snowflake. What are different ways to connect to Snowflake? One is web user interface. Like that, is there any other softwares to connect? Then we are going to discuss about Snowflake architecture. And Snowflake architecture is three-layered architecture. We are going to discuss these three layers, and then we are going to discuss Snowflake pricing of Snowflake storage pricing and Snowflake processing pricing. And then we are going to create some lab part of it. We are going to create databases. We are going to create schemas. We are going to create a table. We are going to load some sample data. We are going to apply sample SQL queries. Once we implement this sample queries, we come to know we come to know important of SQL. Then second part, we are going to start SQL for Snowflake. SQL for Snowflake. Very, very important. If you want to work with Snowflake, you need minimum knowledge of SQL team. So you may not have SQL knowledge. As part of mastering Snowflake, we are covering SQL for Snowflake team. Once we complete SQL for Snowflake, next we are going to discuss AWS for Snowflake team. AWS for Snowflake. So here we may get data. Here we may get data like cloud file system to do. So here we are going to use AWS S3. In that we are going to load the data. To access this AWS S3, we need AWS IAM. We need AWS IAM knowledge. What are fundamental services required to work with AWS and Snowflake? Those services we are going to discuss as part of AWS for Snowflake team. Then we are going to start with mastering Snowflake concept, mastering Snowflake concepts, and then we are going to write. We are going to create schemas. We are going to create uh, databases. We are going to create tables. We are going to write different SQL queries to perform transformations. And then we are going to use time travel concept, if anything removed. We are going to use different table technique concepts. Okay, so we have different snowflake concepts, advanced snowflake concepts. We are going to learn all those concepts end to end, and finally, we are going to discuss real-time project style, real-time project, end to end, end to end to end, real-time project. So these are the concepts we are going to cover as part of mastering Snowflake. Okay. Any questions, team? Is it clear what are we are covering as part of mastering Snowflake? Hope all of you understand what we are covering. And tomorrow class, I am going to explain Snowflake architecture team, and so that you will understand clearly what are three-layer architecture. Just now today we understand this part. Snowflake, we are using different clouds. Again, cloud, we are using storage purpose, this one, and processing purpose, different service. In three-layered architecture, I am going to explain clearly what is the purpose of storage layer, what is the purpose of processing layer, what is the purpose of schema definition layer. So there are three layers. We are going to discuss clearly about three layers today. Okay. Yeah. If you have any queries, you can unmute and ask me. Team. Otherwise, we'll connect to tomorrow. Team. Yeah. Okay. Team. We'll connect tomorrow. Thank you. Team.
Thank you.